Welcome, Capricorn Rising, Sun or Moon. Please listen to your rising sign first, as this will give you the most accurate placement in the forecast. Well, let's have a look at Pluto in Capricorn. Pluto has been here since 2008 and in your first house and will be there until 2023. Now, I usually explain to people that when Pluto enters a house or a sign, it tends to break down that area of your life first before it starts building it up and making it stronger. And depending on where you are in your journey and your healing journey in life, depends on how you handle it and how hard or not hard this transit can be. This is a long transit, but it is a transit that is a death and rebirth transit for you. Now, this is very key for you, Capricorn, because this is your first house. So this affects you physically, you, and also because it's angular, all of your life, really. It's affecting all aspects of your life. Now, with Pluto here, there can be a period where and you can probably identify with this because Pluto is nearing the end of its transit through your first house, and it's about to enter Aquarius in 2023. So in 2022, it'll be reaching critical degrees. So this will be very intense and you will be feeling this. And it will also be a very important time worldwide, government-wise, with Capricorn, Aquarius, with it coming from Capricorn moving into Aquarius, where we will most likely see a world government becoming more of a reality as we go on. But basically, also we have Venus retrograding in Capricorn starting out the year. We have Mars, Venus, and Pluto conjuncting here. So this house in general for everyone, that wherever they have Capricorn, is very intense. So you will also then need to pay attention to this house quite intensely in 2022. Now, usually what Pluto does when it's in your first house is it will force you to get in touch with issues that shaped you as a person. It will bring up old wounds of the past and automatic patterns from the past, deep emotional things, even maybe any type of trauma or abuse or sexual abuse or financial abuse or any type of thing that wounding from the past it can bring up for you to have to deal with and heal. So this can be very uncomfortable at first, and maybe you've experienced this in the first years that Pluto went through here. But gradually over the years, it reshapes your personality entirely. So this is really a self-improvement phase that you've been going through since 2008. And you are reaching the sort of the boiling point, the turning point now. So there is challenges along the way, especially also in connection with relationships, because this is your relationship axis. And usually what it can do as well is it can make you want to control everyone and everything in your life. And you can become very controlling even with yourself and demand a lot from yourself and be very perfectionistic, very OCD, and it can be very difficult for others to be around you at times, depending on how hard this is affecting you. And if you are not actively trying to work on improving yourself, you might become a negative force for others to deal with. So this is really an opportunity for you to heal. Also on a physical level, for some this can be a physical transformation as well, because this really is body, mind, and soul. But This can also manifest in some kind of physical breakdown and build up as well, and becoming stronger. But usually with Pluto here, this is an opportunity to rebirth yourself, to heal also your relationships in your life, and you might be more inclined to seek more the inner dimensions of life, going really deep. You won't be interested in superficial people, superficial activities, superficial things. You are more interested in spiritual doctrines with Pluto here. And then Neptune will be in Pisces, in your third house, and has been since 2011, 2012. It's also a long transit and will be here until 2025. Now, it can be difficult to make yourself clear to others, or to communicate clearly with Neptune here. This is not necessarily the case for everyone, but it can be. It can bring misunderstandings in your everyday life, mistakes when you're writing, or a fogginess in your head, like you don't feel clear-headed. You feel kind of confused a lot of the time, or you can't really make clear decisions. You have indecision. So all negotiations with this transit needs extra care and double checking things and so forth. But it is a transformation from the inside out that's very powerful with Neptune here. You can be more concerned with spiritual truths. You can be spending a lot of mental energy on that, thinking about it, learning about it. You could start studying metaphysical or religious disciplines, or just read up on it a lot. You can be more interested in karma and reincarnation. But this is also a wonderful time to develop talents and skills. If you're a very rigid person normally, and with Pluto in your first house, you could have been quite rigid in some aspects of your life, then Neptune here can be a bit more upsetting sometimes, because Neptune wants you to go into the spiritual realms. And more, it's not so much what you see is what you get. It's going into the fields of things and into other, the spiritual side of energy and consciousness and super consciousness. And it wants you to discover the truth. And with Pluto in your first house, you could quite intensely be digging for this truth. But there can also be doubts, like I said, an indecision with Neptune here. You can be very intuitive with Neptune here. But you also want to make sure that you are more careful when you are making big purchases. It can also indicate that maybe you are living in an area near water, or you are spending more time around people that make music, or in a musical neighborhood, a very artistic neighborhood, or you could be dealing with more your friends and family and relatives and your neighbors and so forth are more Neptunian. The people that you surround yourself with, or your everyday life, is much more in tune, sort of in an artistic sense, whether it's dance or music or poetry, or maybe you're digging into that and writing extremely deep, emotional, raw poetry or writings at this time. So it can be very, very creative, especially also for your mind. So this can be a good time to really write things down when they come to you, so you don't forget them. But it can make it a bit harder to concentrate on very detailed work. So just be a bit more aware of that. And then Uranus is in Taurus since 2018 until 2026, and this is in your 5th house. And this can be an exciting period where you can be seeking out new and original ways of expressing yourself. You can have wonderful ideas in regards to creativity, thinking outside of the box, inventions, inventing things. You can also be more attracted to new experiences and changing the way you have fun, changing the sports you watch or do, or changing the way you use your free time. You could be doing more unusual, different types of things in your free time. You could be attracted to more unusual, different, eccentric types of people. You could have a more eccentric need sexually. But usually with Uranus here, some of the romantic partners that you could encounter might not necessarily be of the lasting kind, with the energy that Uranus can sometimes give. But it can usually be suddenly or unexpected, or in just unexpected ways, or in unexpected places that you can meet a romantic partner. Situations with your children can change abruptly. There can be upsetting things as well. There can be more rebellious action in regards to children, illnesses or accidents. So you just want to be more aware of that. Your children can also have more stimulating experiences with this Uranus transit. Or they can find themselves in scenarios where that are just very, very strange or unusual circumstances than normal. But this is wonderful for innovative ideas, like I've said, even for working maybe on an old car and transforming it, or you might go through a nostalgic period where you're collecting, He-Man toys or things from your past. You can be working with new technology or developing new technology here, or you can build some kind of machine, but you are approaching life with a new understanding with Uranus here. And you could be working on some self-employment endeavor, taking some creative invention or idea and making it into a business. This is a time where you also don't really want to be speculating too much, because there can be a lot of financial volatility in this area. And but you will be more inclined to want to express your authenticity with Uranus here. And sometimes it can maybe come out in an unusual way. For others, others might not be so used to you being this way. But this is a necessary thing for you at this time. And like I said, your children could be going through this as well, acting out or wanting to break limitations and become more free and more independent. And then Saturn is in Aquarius and has been since 2020 December, and will be here until 2023 in your 2nd house. And usually with Saturn here, you will be learning what you truly value. You'll be weighing things, material values, spiritual values, moral, psychological. Sometimes it can indicate a loss financially, or losing a job, or hours getting less, or getting retrenched, or just a slowdown here. Maybe you're just not working as hard, or maybe you're going slowly into retirement, or maybe you're doing a lot of hard labor, and taking things kind of slow and steady. Sometimes if you've had a lot of material wealth, it can keep you from discovering your true values and discovering your truth. So sometimes it's necessary for there to be a little bit of a loss in this area in order for you to learn and grow and sort of be forced to get to the deeper side of life and experience what true value really is. Sometimes this transit can make you feel insecure because it can make you feel like you maybe are just not being able to provide or earn what you maybe used to. It can also indicate that you're working very hard to keep things moving here and to keep up with your responsibilities. And it may feel like you've had there's a loss of control in this area. So it's a good time for you to really time manage well, try to organize as best as you can, cut back where you can, make a priority list, see where it is that you can cut. There's always places that we can cut so that it doesn't control your life as much. Because sometimes Saturn here can actually just indicate even just fear of losing a job, or fear of losing hours, or a fear of going through a hardship financially, and so forth. You might be asking yourself, is fancy things really necessary? Is it really that wonderful? What does it really do for me? How long does it really last? Is it worth it if it costs me my sanity? Is it worth me worrying about paying it off? It's not worth it. In some cases, it can also indicate eating less, or being more of a picky eater, or cutting certain things out of your diet, or maybe you are taking your health more seriously with Pluto in that first house, and you are starting to choose healthier habits, healthier eating patterns and drinking patterns. This can also mean that you are talking more about serious topics. So there's more serious things on your mind, and you're talking more seriously about things. You can take your work more serious with this transit. And sometimes Saturn here can indicate you getting a more secure position in work for some. So this can go either way, but I'm sort of just giving you all the potentials of what Saturn could mean in this area for you. This can, of course, also be due to an illness, that you're being cut back, or that you're working less, some kind of more like a long-term thing, or that's sort of just hanging around, slowing you down a bit, or you might just have less energy that's affecting your work at this time. And then let's have a look at Jupiter. Now, Jupiter will be in Pisces as we start out the year. And this will be in your third house. And Jupiter will ingress Aries on the 10th of May. But Jupiter will retrograde on the 28th of July and make its way into Pisces October 28th, where it will station direct in November and re-enter Aries on the 20th of December 2022. So therefore, it'll be approximately 6 months in Pisces, 6 months in Aries. Now, with Jupiter transiting your third house, you may have the opportunity to advance your knowledge or study in some area. This transit considerably increases your connections and contacts with others, maybe foreigners in some cases, or those of higher learning. You may decide to write or read more during this time, or learn a new language, or buy a vehicle, or decide to travel. Your way of commuting or your daily commute route could change. Relations with your relatives can benefit with this transit as well as your mind, as now you'll be more likely to expand your perceptions and understanding on old limiting belief patterns, prejudices, or any boxed mindedness that may have kept you trapped in some way. And you might find yourself thinking and pondering much on philosophy and religion, the law, justice, metaphysics, and so forth. In general, your tolerance for others and your generosity can increase with Jupiter here. And communications can benefit with Jupiter here. Your plans for your future are more expansive and meaningful, but be careful of over-committing to projects that end up being too much for you to finish in the end. So stay realistic and remember the details. Also, be careful of not putting your foot in your mouth when you're speaking or communicating with others, or exaggerating things, or being a know-it-all with Jupiter here. And then Jupiter will be in Aries, in your 4th house. And here you can become more confident with your inner self. You're more secure with who you are. And this is a wonderful transit to use for facing fears that stem from your childhood, that may have had some subconscious level of control over you, your behaviors, or your choices. During this time, peace and security become highlighted for you. And Jupiter here can improve all the areas of your personal life, your family, your home, the past, parental relations, etc. For some, Jupiter here can indicate purchasing or moving into a new home, maybe far away, or increasing the space or value of your home, or maybe moving to a really beautiful place or an expensive place. Maybe a new addition to the family can be like a birth, or a person like a foreign exchange student living in the home, or a new person coming in. Investing in real estate can be good. If other aspects support this, there can be an improvement or some kind of relationship aspect with a father figure as well during this time. Jupiter brings healing and joy and the clearing up of issues in all these personal areas and innermost emotional areas of your life as well. In some cases, this can also indicate purchasing books or getting a library going, or spending a lot of time reading or studying, or even having church gatherings in your home, or preaching from your home, and more of a spiritual connection within the home. And then we start the year with Mars in Sagittarius to ingress Capricorn on the 24th of January. And like I said, this Capricorn house is a very powerful house for you going forward. Now, this will be in your 1st house as of the 24th of January. And Mars here is exalted. It can increase your worldly ambition to achieve. It can be make you very well organized if you're not as of yet, but I'm sure you are. It makes for regulated action. It gives practical results. It gives a bit of a more prudish sex drive. It can also bring in meeting real friends and supporters, and helping you to overcome obstacles with the support of friends and groups. There can be more hope for you during this time and fortunate actions. Sometimes there can be indications here of inheritances or of land or property or gain in some way. But this is a more busier time in your life where you're working hard to further your interests and asserting yourself. Sort of like it can feel like a chance to show the world what you can do. You can make a really strong impression here, and if you're into sales of any kind, this can be a very positive time for you to make some sales. But if you're selfish or prone to selfishness and not sensitive to others, this can make relationships very difficult at this time. It might be better for you to work independently with Mars here, because it could be more difficult to be in a team environment because you'll want to sort of do your own thing and not take instructions from others. But this can also make you more wanting to fight for your rights or standing up for your beliefs. And you won't allow anyone to take anything from you with Mars here. It brings a higher energy, more motivation, more inspiration. You can get a lot done. You feel more energetic and upbeat. It's a more independent energy, going for what you want. But you want to be careful of anger outbursts with Mars here. You want to check your vehicle condition with Mars here, and you want to be cautious when driving, cautious in regards to accidents and being impulsive, especially when angered. But you can also experience more inflammation with Mars here, or headaches, and you don't want to be playing with fire or anything like that, or use any dangerous weapons or machinery that could be faulty and cause accidents. And then Mars will conjunct Pluto on the 3rd of March in your first house at 27 degrees, almost at its 28th degree of exaltation. And with Mars conjuncting Pluto, this can be a very intense time for you, because you could want to take control of whatever's happening around you in relationships, your work, your body, yourself, like everything that's sort of in your life at that time. But it can stimulate ambition even more so, but there can be a lot of violent, disruptive, ruthless ego conflicts and energy at this time. Whether you're on the giving or receiving end of this, you want to be careful of power games, also in regards to the government, politics, others at work. You want to avoid any dangerous people, situations, places during this time. But it can be a wonderful transit to achieve heavy amounts of work if you are under a lot of pressure at this time. Sometimes this can indicate some kind of power. As long as you're not abusing it or using it selfishly, this can work out for you. But it can attract violent people, so be careful of that. Sometimes it can also be indicative of an accident in regards to a parent or a mother, or business dealing with death or wills or inheritances, or business dealing with the dead in some way, or something that is no longer something that you're done with, a sort of a death, not necessarily an actual death. But it can sometimes also bring you to a higher position in some way, and allow you to sort of rise in some position. And then Mars will enter Aquarius on the 6th of March in your second house. And this will also trigger the Saturn-Uranus square we've had all of 2021, and that we'll also have in 2022. And this deals with your past and your future, the old versus the new, restriction versus freedom. And this is really where you need to make things new or end what is no longer good for you. So this can be that you have maybe felt this quite intensely in your 5th and 2nd houses. of fun and finances, children and work, self-employment and values, sport and morals, friends and skills and relationships, buying, property. All of these topics might have been in some of this frustrating energy. But Mars in Aquarius really brings in a flair for the innovative and wanting to do things in an original and unique way. It seeks more freedom of action. It's more sexually cool and unemotional. But it can usually indicate gains by deals in land when it's here, or property or parentage. There's more of an interest in domestic science, maybe also cooking and working with food, doing things very in a unique way, trying unique things, eating unique food. You also want to be more careful when you eat here, because you don't because you have a tendency to eat very fast or speak very fast. So you want to slow down how you speak. You might have a lot of powerful things you want to say, so just speak slower, eat slower, and avoid choking or saying things that could hurt others, because you could have harsh words here. But there can be business and money by means of friends and legislations, or through your own creations as well. Now, in some cases, you can identify your ego with what you own with this transit. You may equate your self-worth with what you earn or do for a living. You're not what you own or earn or do. And there can sometimes be arguments about values, morals, beliefs, possessions, opinions, and their worth, disputes over use of property itself, ownership, leading, and this can lead to estrangement from others, even a committed relationship, like with a spouse or a business partner. There can be a strong desire for possessions with Mars here. Wasteful spending, impulsive spending, so be aware of that. But it can also indicate using your possessions to help you work, or selling possessions in order to earn some money, or maybe, just using your possessions in order to help your income in some way. But try not to shove your beliefs down other people's throats with Mars here, because you'll be more inclined to speak your mind here. And then Mars will conjunct Saturn on the 4th and 5th of April at 22 degrees of Aquarius. And this can sometimes be a more difficult transit for some. It can bring a lot of frustration or irritation. Don't really do anything risky during this time. It can sometimes be an energy where you want to go, but something keeps preventing you. You're constantly blocked or stopped in some way. You might feel like you have less energy. You might feel like you're angry and you're unable to express it because of circumstances or whatever is keeping you from expressing it. So it's important to physically work out and release this stress. Otherwise you could get ill. It's great for working on something that requires heavy concentration or careful, detailed technique. But be cautious with machinery, cutting tools, steel, iron, anything that can lead to accidents, especially if you're angry. But this can be a great trigger to sort of finally get you to break free from some limiting something limiting you or oppressing you in your life, a person, a situation, a belief, a mindset, whatever it could be, because Mars will also be squaring Uranus now, and this brings in more rebellious, more impulsive energy that will make you want to break free from things that are restricting you. But you want to also be careful how you handle and channel this energy, because it can get you in trouble with authority. But you may be asking yourself at this time, can I be myself here with this person, with what I'm doing, what I'm thinking? Like, you're asking these questions during this time. But this is where you really want to start making changes in this area to become more flexible here, less rigid, do things in a different way, tackle it from a different angle, move your schedule around, or just do things more differently, so that it's more new or more fresh, or it feels better and it feels like you have more freedom now. Otherwise, the universe will move this for you, and then it could be uncomfortable. It could be painful or traumatic, or, unnecessarily. But you want to also be more cautious for accidents, and remember that new challenges require new solutions. And then Mars will enter Pisces on the 15th of April in your third house. And this will be just after the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction on the 12th of April. Now, Mars here can bring in a lack of motivation in Pisces, sometimes a lack of confidence. And Mars usually functions best here under clear direction and a more quiet atmosphere in order to be productive. So remember that if you're trying to get a lot of work done or mental work done, put on some nature sounds or ambiance music, meditate, calm the mind, really be clear in your communication, especially with Neptune there as well. But you may be more affectionate and romantic in connecting with love. You can experience friendships among neighbors, siblings, and relatives. You can have gain through these people as well. You can also meet friends or spend time with friends through writing, journeys, maybe online. Sometimes there can be difficulty in connection with a father figure during this time. Sometimes there can also be indicators here of travel, or even travel with relatives, working online, working with neighbors, relatives, friends. This can also sometimes indicate something to do with a vehicle or a commute as well. But you are usually more busy in your everyday life with Mars here. There can be more conflicts with the people I mentioned here on an everyday basis, people that you deal with in your everyday life. Maybe that girl at Starbucks didn't make your coffee the way you liked it, or your neighbor, mowed the lawn too early, or there can be conflicts with people in your everyday life, your relatives, friends, neighbors, and so forth, siblings. But positively, this is great to work on something with some of these people together, on a project together. It's great for working online. It's great for selling things. If you're selling a vehicle, this is a good time to do it. It's great for mental work, so this will help your brain as well if you felt like you haven't been able to do things as clearly and as fast or as the way you wanted to with Neptune sitting there. Mars can really accelerate things here for you. But again, Mars can make you more accident prone, so please be aware of that. And then Mars will conjunct Neptune on the 17th of May on 24 degrees of Pisces. And this can sometimes bring more strange feelings. You can feel a bit more irritable or discouraged, or feel like you're unable to do what you wanted to do. You can feel a bit more inferior or useless with this energy. Maybe you're studying something and you feel like you're just not getting a grip on it. Or you're teaching something and it's just not coming across the way you want it to. You also want to watch for action based on delusions and being taken for a ride with this aspect. So be aware of who you're dealing with during this time as well, online schemes and so forth. Avoid escapism that's dangerous with drugs and alcohol, because this can sometimes lead to, like, if you're experiencing anxiety or anything like that, that you could maybe overdose if you're doing silly things like this. So please rather talk to someone, get help when you need it. This is also not a great time to start anything new, because it can lead to disappointment. So you want to, because there could also be things here that you're not seeing, hidden things. So that details that you could miss. So you want to rather work on things that you're already, that have started, and just sort of fine tune it. It's great energy for serving others or volunteering in a hospital or in a prison, or helping the less fortunate, as long as your intentions are good. Sometimes it can indicate being hospitalized, maybe a mental hospital, or just needing assistance in some way with your health. So this can, in some cases, it doesn't mean it will be that way for you. And you want to be more aware of your body's capabilities during this time. You don't want to push things too hard. You want to rest, because you can have lower energy with this, lower sex drive, but you will be more romantic and more into listening to music. Maybe you're working on music or poetry or writing at this time. It can be great energy for something like that, or to use that as an escapism rather than using drugs or alcohol. And this can, of course, also indicate film, or working on a movie, or photography, or something like this as well. And then Mars will be in Aries on the 24th of May in your 4th house. And Mars here is dignified. It likes direct and immediate action. It can be aggressive, impulsive. It goes after what it wants. It has more courage and bravery, energy. It's more competitive. But it can also come with haste, which brings accident possibilities, injuries. It comes with a strong sex drive, and it can sometimes fail to finish what we started. Sometimes Mars here can bring gain with property, sometimes assistance to or from a parent. There can be benefit and profit in your place of birth or your roots. There can be loss through storms or floods, inheritance through friends or family. It can be fortunate property-wise. Sometimes it can indicate friends living in the home with you. But Mars here can also stir up unconscious childhood behavior or patterns from the past and make you act inappropriately. Sometimes it can mean that you're fighting over something you don't even understand entirely. So this is a good time for you to sort of recognize these behavior patterns. Where are they coming from? And this is a time for you to heal them. And this really goes well with what you've been working on since Pluto has entered your 1st house. So this will tie in with that. And maybe you're starting to notice quite a difference in how you are dealing with certain wounds that you get triggered by. Because otherwise, these inappropriate behaviors or childish types of coping mechanisms can make it harder for others to want to deal with you. But usually Mars here can mean that you're very busy at your home. You're working at home or from home, or working on your home, building a home, buying a home, selling a home. But you will want things a certain way, and that can cause domestic strife and accidents in the home as well, because you can be really, kind of pushing things and not wanting to compromise. So it might be harder to live with others at this time. And maybe you're even deciding, that's it, I'm moving out, I'm living alone. This can sometimes bring in disputes over land and use of land. It can bring in difficulty with parents sometimes, or family conflicts. So it's sometimes better to keep a low profile during this transit, especially at work, because you can also have opposition from work with this energy. But Mars will also conjunct Jupiter on the 29th of May at 3 degrees of Aries. And this is a great energy for physical activity, more confidence, optimism. And you just want to watch for being overconfident and inflated, because this can cause accidents and humiliation as well. You want to be more cautious in speculating, but this can be a lucky transit for some. So there can be blessings coming this way. This can also be great for muscle building, or strength training, or bodybuilding, or childbirth. This can be an indicator of childbirth and making it a bit easier. Sometimes there can be indicators here of secret sorrows, or something that you are secretly not very happy about. That can also be sort of coming up during this time. And then Mars will be in Taurus from the 5th of July in your 5th house. And Mars here is in detriment, but that basically just means that it's slower to start things, slower to initiate things. It sort of more boosts your practical direction, though. It gives you determination. It gives you purposeful action, building things, steadily with time. But it does have more of a working for a gain focus. You could be wanting to start something new with this transit. There is more of a likelihood with Mars and Taurus to want to work with money or earthly materials like gardening, pottery, farming, self-sustaining, securing your own security. It can also bring a more basic sensual sexual drive. Maybe you want to go for a couples massage on a date. It can be bring more action in regards to children and friends and your free time. There can be beneficial circumstances in regards to these topics now. There can be gain and pleasure by a father's good fortune here. There can be possessions that descend to children. This can also sometimes indicate that you may be moving near a school, or living near a school, or a public park, or a playground, or a theater, or maybe even an art museum. But with Mars here, you tend to be more expressive and want to demand to sort of be yourself and be free. You'll be more willing to defend your freedom. There can be conflicts with children with this transit. There can be also more activity with children, maybe sport, or your children are just very busy at this time. But there's more of a danger for accidents also with children. So you want to be aware of that. But this is great energy for sport, creative arts, starting your own business, something that you're creative, that you're building up from scratch, that you want to, maybe get an income from at some point. Your desire for love is stronger with this transit. You might want to make love more strongly. But this can be a transit where you're more sort of occupied wanting to have fun than working. So you can maybe feel like you need to, your discipline is lacking a bit here. But this is a great time to focus on joy and how to be more present and in the moment, and really spend time with your kids and letting go more, as this is really a healing experience for you as well. Maybe you've been working just too hard, and it's time for you to really just let go and be creative, and so forth. You also want to be careful, though, in regards to speculation at this time as well. And Mars will be conjuncting Uranus and the North Node at 18 degrees of Taurus on the 1st of August. And this can bring sudden upsets, disruptions, surprises, financial losses or gains, but generally financial volatility. It can bring accidents or sudden surprises in regards to your children or creative projects or even your own business. Plans can change. There can be freakouts because you could feel like you want to break free from some kind of limitation in this sense. This can bring about rebellion also in regards to children. This can be a child wanting to break free and move out. But accidents here are usually self-inflicted due to the energy here. You want to avoid driving fast or working with machinery, tools, weapons, or anything that can be harmful in some way, especially if you're angry. But this is great for creating a new project or innovating something or doing something very unique, thinking outside of the box, whether it's in regards to children, whether it's in regards to self-employment or some creative thing. You can maybe have a sudden breakthrough in a business or in a creative project or with a child. You really want to assert your individuality with this transit. But yeah, this can also be very positive, where suddenly something just clicks or something just, there's a breakthrough. There's a connection with a new person in your life, a romantic partner that suddenly just shows up in an unusual, unexpected, sudden way. Or it could be someone very unusual that you wouldn't normally go for as well. But this is a crisis point with the 18 degrees there of the nodes, and but there can be unusual ways of having fun. There can be a birth. This can bring about a birth or a sudden pregnancy, sudden loss or gain financially. This can even sometimes bring in financial freedom of some kind, but it can also bring negative things. So you just want to be more flexible and aware during these times. In some cases, because the South Node will be in your 11th house, this can also bring about a loss of friends or a loss or a change in regards to your goals, your future hopes and dreams, maybe an alliance or group that you belong to. And maybe you are reevaluating your needs versus others' needs, your work and free time balance, how much you work and how much you spend time, spending time with your children, or just really grounding yourself more. And then let's have a look at the retrogrades for 2022. Mercury will retrograde from air to earth, from Aquarius to Capricorn, from Gemini to Taurus, and Libra to Virgo. Now, of course, with Mercury retrogrades, I'm going to go through the general topics that we can deal with all of these Mercury retrogrades. This will cover all of them, and then I'll go into a bit more detail for each one according to your house placements. But basically, your mental activity, anxiety, misunderstandings, transportation and communications, mistakes, loss of passwords, loss and damage to electronics, email errors, retesting, relearning, redoing, reevaluating, changing your mind, reversals, people from the past, bank errors, card errors, electricity, internet issues, car malfunctioning, mechanical faulties, suddenly your fridge doesn't work or a pipe bursts, there's a wrong number, rerouted traffic, accidents, and so forth. So you don't want to be buying any new electronics during this time, and don't sign any contracts that you cannot get out of. This is better to be used as a time to really adjust plans, focus in on details, clean things up, plan and prepare, look at schedules, just stay flexible so that there's room for mistakes and room for fixing things. If you're buying an airplane ticket, make sure it's refundable, and that type of thing. Make sure there's room for change in everything that you do, sort of thing. Now, Mercury will retrograde from 10 degrees of Aquarius to 24 degrees of Capricorn for 21 days from January 14th to the 4th of February. And these can include topics in general for everyone in regards to friends, alliances, political groups, co-workers, people and organizations, governments, and so forth, showing their true colors during this time. Your future hopes, wishes, and goals can be affected, markets and supply lines, social life, freedom and individuality, freedom, period, the collective, radio frequencies, internet, electronics, AI, governmental changes, property commitments, career. There can be harder work, there can be depression, sadness, separation, serious responsibilities, teeth, bones, minerals. All of these topics can be coming up during this retrograde collectively. And then for you, this is mostly in your second and first house that this will be affecting you. So this is, again, your sense of self, your personality, how you interact with people. So it'll also be your communication. This can also be your energy. This can affect you physically. You can be more accident prone, so you want to be careful of that. This is also your sixth house, ninth house, second and first, that can all be affected with this. So also higher learning, foreign travel, writing, teaching, your faith in your beliefs, other people's opinions, your work, how you make money, your values, your self-worth, your confidence, and then your physical health, your daily responsibilities and routines, your work environment, your coworkers, your employees, your pets. So those are the areas for you that can be mostly affected here. And then Mercury will retrograde on the 3rd of June for 24 days from 4 degrees of Gemini to 26 degrees of Taurus. Now, the normal Mercury retrograde stuff applies here, okay? But you can also deal with brutally honest people, people gossiping, poking their noses where they shouldn't. You want to be flexible with your schedule, your plans, so it's best to rethink, double check, proofread, direct communication is best. But overall, collectively, we can experience chaos in financial matters, banking, markets, agriculture, values, skills, our work, how we make money, those types of things. So it's important to stay flexible. Don't have all your eggs in one basket, and make sure that you can move with changes if there's sudden turnarounds or events that causes you, so that you're not freaking out. And then this will mostly be affecting you in your 9th, 6th, and 5th houses. So this is again the 9th and the 6th that I just mentioned. So this is again your foreign travel, learning, teaching, faith, other people's opinion, your belief system, pre-programmed beliefs from the past. This can be your health, your physical health, your schedules, your routines, your coworkers, your pets, your responsibilities, your structuring of your daily life. And then your 5th house, which is your children, how you have fun, entertainment, if you have your own business, your self-employment, creative projects, speculation, freedom, laughter, joy, and children can be affected here with the 5th house. And then Mercury will retrograde in Libra to Virgo from 8 degrees of Libra to 24 degrees of Virgo on September 10th to the 2nd of October, and that's for about 22 days. So issues governed by Libra and Virgo are imbalanced at this time, like grace, charm, diplomacy, collaborations, contracts and agreements, love and business relationships, your dealings with the public, the law, justice, fairness, harmony, peace, all of those things are out of balance at this time, and therefore reevaluation, rethinking, pondering, changing. This is also a time where you maybe want to change your style or your looks, or change some investment or something in your financials, or your values are getting a look at. Manipulation. We can also deal with public health issues in regards to COVID or employment in general, work, mental health, and so forth. Alternative healing modalities. And for you, this is again mainly going to affect your 9th and 6th houses that I've already covered. And then also let's add to that your 10th house. So your career, your life direction, parents, a parental figure, maybe a mother, your status. This can be a relationship status, a work status. This can be maybe something that you wanted to communicate to your parents or to the public, some announcement or decision that you were going to make that's being affected by this. This can be, just your ambition and your purpose in life and your career. And then Venus will retrograde from the 19th of December 2021 to 29 January 2022. So we start the year with Venus retrograde conjunct Pluto. This is in Capricorn, 23 degree Cap to 11 degrees of Capricorn. So you're really going to feel this because this is your 1st house, and this is the house I told you about to watch this year. Now, with this retrograde, before I talk about that, let's just talk about Venus in Capricorn, period. This brings up topics such as slow love, less emotional love, business love, money for love, love for money, business marriages, relationships, mercenary intentions can come up here, old money, age difference in love, love separated, mature, occupied, unavailable, restricted, far away, or forbidden love, love at work. This can bring issues in regards to jealousy, manipulation, obsession, power struggles, possessions, etc., especially with Pluto here. This can be a reality check, with love and money. Some cases with Venus in Capricorn, we may want to take love to the next level, get married or get engaged. This is supported love. This Venus here wants security. Venus knows what she wants. She wants long lasting. She wants to know, what is she going to get out of this? Is this going to work? Is this realistic? Is this sustainable? This can mean mourning love that's gone. This can be power moves in regards to property, banking, currencies, money, values, and so forth. We can, with Venus retrograde, we have things coming up for review, such as love, money, values, beauty, pleasure, sweet things, comfort, security, our values. All of these things, our love relationships, our business relationships, what's really important to us. These are the things that come up for review. And we can sometimes deal with unexpected expenses, We can sometimes deal with laziness in the area that it's affecting, so you could maybe feel more lazy physically. And we will also most likely see a lot more news articles about expensive art or things like that going on during this time. Maybe you want to go for a deep teeth cleaning or teeth whitening during this time. There can also be more sex trafficking and sex scandals coming to light during this time. Truths being revealed in regards to love and money. And fraudulent activities that get exposed. And but this is a great time to add flair in marketing if you're into that. It's a great time to really look at these things on a deeper level. But you do not want to really start a new relationship if you can help it, or if you do, you don't want to take it to a serious level while Venus is retrograde or in shadow. So you don't want to get married or engaged. You don't want to make crazy investments or big purchases because you might have buyer's remorse afterwards. Your self-worth is being looked at here as well. Your currency. Don't go for a beauty procedure, please. And because you might look like a cat lady when you're done, or something like that, or really regret it. Rather postpone, plan, reevaluate, check the balance, the give and take in these areas that are being affected for you. Now, for you, this is happening in your first house, like I mentioned. So sometimes this can bring in laziness or overindulgence. You might want to eat a lot of cake. You may want to be served or eat too much sugar. You might sleep too much. You might come across less charming with Venus retrograde, or lack some grace and tact, not be as diplomatic as usual. You could be not so harmonious, or you could feel like you're not really in a harmonious state of mind. There can sometimes be depression with this, or not getting along with others. You might feel like you look bad, like you really don't like the way you look, or you're getting a bit overweight, or you can at this time feel like you want to change your look. So be very careful. Don't do anything drastic that's not changeable till after. But this might be a time where you're kind of rethinking your style and your hairstyle, or how you dress, and so forth. And then Mars will retrograde from the 30th of October till the 12th of January 2023 for 63 days, from 25 degrees of Gemini to 8 degrees of Gemini. And Mars here will be in mutual reception with Mercury in Scorpio. So your Scorpio and Gemini houses will be working sort of together at this time in some way. Now, Mars is our willpower. It's our action planet. It's our drive. It's our passion. So when Mars is retrograde here, we can be less assertive, or find it more difficult to be assertive. We can have less drive. Our energy levels can be affected. So it's best to complete and finish already started projects, and be mindful of our anger, our frustration, channel it appropriately, exercise to get rid of this tension. Use the time to build websites, strategize, get your admin out of the way, clean up your schedules, do the little things while this is happening. Repair, redo, renovate, fix, tune up, that type of thing. But wait with new ventures. We can also see more debates collectively in general, more accidents, more arguments. Cities can be in chaos, transportation issues, car explosions, vehicle troubles, mechanical issues, verbal arguments. We can have more things turning in our minds mentally. There can be more mental activity, more physical movement in your neighborhood, or activity in your neighborhood, or you're more active in your neighborhood. There can be a lot to do with information in regards to the media coming in, technology issues, internet issues. There can be more shoplifting and theft coming to light here. So, and this is now on a collective level. And we can see a lot more similarities with Mars retrograding in Gemini as we see with a Mercury retrograde in Gemini, or a Mercury retrograde in general. So we can see similar things happening here. But we might have more blockages and not get as much done as we'd like to with Mars retrograde here. But Mars is helpful in helping us slow down and reflect on our desires. Rethink and analyze what upsets us and why, and where's it coming from. This is a great time to also rethink your vehicle condition, or rethink what you're driving, or your neighborhood. You might be rethinking where you live, your communication with relatives, what you drive, how you drive. You can be more emotional in your interactions with neighbors, friends, relatives, and siblings. So you want to watch for a sharp tongue. Like I said, you could be more busy and impulsive, so you're more injury prone. So areas that are more sensitive now is muscles, like pulling a muscle, asthma, inflammation, anxiety. Your lungs can be more sensitive. Your joint dislocations is more possible. Cutting of arms and hands and so forth, and fingers. This is a great time for ideas. So you want to maybe take notes on ideas that you could be getting at this time. You may find sometimes with this transit, there can be studying happening, or restudying, or redoing tests, changes in relationships and how you communicate, or changes in communication. Your mind can be more fragile but sharp. There can be trouble. You can get into trouble for things you say with this, even if you're joking. There can be more gossip, rumor, business schemes and fraud. We can fight with our words more. Freedom of speech and movement can come up at this time. Erotic fantasies and dirty talk. We can be more curious, more action in our neighborhood, like I mentioned, and we can be more willing to fight for our opinions and beliefs with this transit. And for you, this is mainly affecting you in your 6th and 11th houses. So issues at work, communication, even with coworkers, energy in regards to daily tasks, wanting change in your work environment, or in your, where you work. Health issues can come up here for review, anger and stress. You could want to overwork, or you have, and it's now settling over into an illness. So you want to be careful of overworking, doing too many things at once. And this can also be working in connection with friends and colleagues in some way, groups that you belong to. This can also bring in issues in regards to freedom, legislation, and your future goals. And then Jupiter will retrograde from the 28th of July till the 23rd of November for 118 days, from 8 degrees of Aries to 28 degrees of Pisces. And Jupiter in Aries can bring about new leadership in some cases, and it brings up for review things we want to start, or things we want to take further and expand and grow. We can be more overconfident, over-optimistic, arrogant, selfish, and more accident-prone with this transit. We can promise things and not deliver them. We can make huge mistakes, but also huge gains and huge leaps of growth. So you want to make sure you keep things realistic and in moderation here. Sometimes liver issues can come up with this transit, so be careful of your intake. What spiritual lessons are you learning at this time? Where can you be less about yourself and more about others? But there will be opportunities for us here to create our own luck. We want to watch impulsiveness, anger flare-ups, mechanical issues, not play with fire. What is happening that you need to learn from, or who can you learn from during this time? Or what are you teaching others? What is your truth? This transit is very much about personal growth. Now, Jupiter will also retrograde into Pisces, and we can be reviewing our vision, our ideals, our beliefs. We can be dealing with other people's opinions. We are more compassionate during a transit like this, with an emphasis more on the meaning of life and our innermost authentic selves, our deeper values, morals, our integrity and beliefs. We turn more spiritually inwards with this, and we become more aware of our connectedness to each other as humans, to God, to the universe, to everything and everyone around us. And this is more of a focus on our similarities instead of our differences and separativeness at this time. Now, for you, this is affecting you more so in your 4th and 3rd houses. So there's strong karmic links here. You may revisit home or a childhood memory or place, your roots. There can be a gain in spiritual understanding here and healing from past wounds. There can be connections here with your family tree, what makes you you, looking into that. You can create opportunities in your home. You could be expanding your home. This could connect to a new home or moving or a faraway place, or maybe a foreigner in some way, or living in a place where you speak a different language. This can also make you question things like, are you taking more than you give? Getting involved in community, giving back, speaking your truth on issues, and helping others grow stronger in your community as well. And then Saturn will retrograde from the 4th of June till the 23rd of October for 141 days, from 25 degrees of Aquarius to 18 degrees of Aquarius. And usually with Saturn retrograde, we can review committed and serious relationships, our own reality, our life goals, our direction, our foundation, our responsibilities, duties. All of these things can come up for review and restructuring, how we manifest our reality. Saturn reminds us of the aspects of life we cannot avoid, like rules, responsibilities, length of life, our skin color, taxes, restrictions, commitments, and even time itself. And areas that it affects usually require restructuring of some kind, can experience delays, frustrations, blockages, sometimes endings, separations, a more serious nature, sometimes loss, sometimes sadness or illness. Now, in your case, you are restructuring your 2nd house of income, work, skills, and so forth. So you might be looking at things like your sense of security or lack of it. Are you usually denying yourself treats and pleasure, or are you obsessed with saving because of previously going through a period of lack, and now you're sort of obsessed with holding back too much, so to speak? Or are you a reckless spender? So past patterns can be addressed during this time and rebalanced. Your allegiance to groups can be tested. You may cut or join groups during this time. You may be questioning your skills, whether you want to retrain or maybe go back to an old job that worked better for you or a different skill set. Rethinking where you want to make changes in this area of your life. That's also directly affecting your confidence levels and your sense of self and your self-worth. Now, the nodal axis, which guides our moon's ecliptic path and determine the eclipse placements, will be moving into a fixed sign polarity on the 19th of January 2022. With the North Node in Taurus, with Venus ruling it, and the South Node in Scorpio, with Mars ruling it. So we are going into a more stubborn, determined, all or nothing, fixed, extreme energy, nodal-wise, more brave, more all or nothing. This will also be activating the Saturn-Uranus square we had all of last year, as well as 2022. And this is our financial axis, power and control axis, security axis. So we'll be asking questions like, what skills do we have? What can we do with our hands? What can we touch? Boundaries and freedom are going to be coming up for everyone. Necessary versus the unnecessary. Where can we simplify, become more manageable, let go, recycle, reuse, minimize, detox? What do you really need? Decluttering, releasing unnecessary structures and grip on things. The mine versus your axis, the obsession, power, jealousy, control, manipulation can come up. Bullying, stubbornness, agriculture issues, land equality, taxing the rich, fairness, wounds, secrets, abuse of power, sexual secrets, scandals can come up. New currencies, new financial systems, online financial systems, energy medicine, food, where it's coming from, growing our own food, communities, sharing. All of these things will be coming up during the next 18 months, letting go of old toxicity, whether it's a relationship, a habit, a situation, becoming survivors, becoming more purified is maybe a better word than minimalistic. Healing, creating our own security. We might be more self-sustaining focused, more earth focused, growing our own food, getting back to basics, teaching our children the basics of things that we feel are sort of slipping through our fingers now. Letting go of fear will be very important. As we uncover truth and living more fully now, giving it our all, and be willing to stand up for what we believe in with an all or nothing bravery. And with eclipses happening in these houses, you do realize that eclipses have longer effects, usually about 6 months. It can be longer or shorter depending on other aspects involved, but usually the veil is thin with an eclipse. There are fated events. The last time the eclipses were where they are now was in 2004. So you can think back at 2004 and what themes were coming up for you during that time. But usually with eclipses, we can have fated turnarounds. Sometimes outside worldly events can catapult our lives into different directions as well. Truths can be revealed, transformations happen. You can suddenly take a different direction than what you intended to be in. Relationships end and begin. Things end and begin. This is also a portal where souls enter and exit out of. So there's a lot of spiritual activity during eclipses, but it's always for your best soul's growth, whatever is manifesting at this time, regardless of how disruptive or sudden it may seem. and uncomfortable it may seem for some. Now for you, there will be a solar eclipse in your 5th house of Taurus on the 30th of April. Now, with a solar eclipse in your 5th house, there can be a new beginning, a new leaf being turned, a new seed of intention in regards to friendship, maybe a new friend. This can be also a new romantic relationship starting, or maybe the heightening of a love affair. This can be this can also be maybe a new hobby that you start, or a new creative project. This can also be a new child. This can be the birth of a child, or a new beginning in connection to a child in your life. This can be a new way of having fun, a new sport, a new creative project. This can be you starting your own business with some creative project that you're taking further. This can be making a new piece of art or music of some kind, or changing the way you are having fun and spending your free time. And you may, be going through a period where this area is really coming up strongly for you. And then you will also have a lunar eclipse on the 16th of May in Scorpio in your 11th house. And this is a culmination, an ending, a fruition, something coming to a head in this area of your life. So this might be you finally realizing a goal, achieving a goal that you've been working on for a long time. That's finally kind of, you're finished planning it, or you're finished with the preparation of it, and it's ready to come into effect. You're finishing it up. Or it could be the end of a dream, something that you've been working towards, but you've been realizing that it's unrealistic, or you need to change things here. Sometimes this can be the ending of a friendship, or some kind of alliance, or group that you belong to. Maybe you're finishing an AA program, or you are finishing some kind of project at work with coworkers, or some team project that you've been working on. This can also be the ending of some kind of online work or connection online as well. This can also sometimes be a death in the family for some, with an 11th house ending. And then there is a solar eclipse in this same house of Scorpio 11th on the 25th of October. And this is a new beginning again in this area. So maybe this is you actually now implementing this goal that you've worked on and completed, and moving it forward. This can be the new beginning for that. There can be a new group that you join. Maybe you're joining AA, or you're joining a new gym, or you're joining a new political party, or some alliance, or some cause, community of some kind. You could be, you could have a new goal. A new friend comes into your life. There can be a new connection at work, or some new training in connection to technology, or some new tech toy that you are dealing with, or maybe a new nostalgic hobby that's coming to your attention during this time. And then there will be a lunar eclipse in your Taurus 5th house again on the 8th of November, which is a culmination, ending, something coming to a head or fruition in your 5th house. So this can be something that's like a creative project that you're finishing up. Maybe you're done writing a book and you're ready to publish it, or maybe something is finishing up in regards to a child. Maybe they're finishing school, or they're done their sports season, or this can be the ending of a gambling habit, or maybe a type of investment that you're changing. This can be the end of maybe some home business or self-employment that you've been working on, that's now getting to the point of fruition, or that you're finishing off and you're ending it. There can be also a change in how you have fun. This can be maybe at the end of a holiday, or a free period of time that you had, or an ending in how you like to entertain yourself, or how you like to spend your free time. In some cases, this can be some aspect of a relationship with a child or a lover. This can be a romantic connection that's ending, or that's getting to a fruition of some kind, where you could now be ready to sort of take it to the next level. And as you can notice, my power went out. I'm currently in South Africa, and we have power outages constantly. So we have network interruptions, electricity interruptions everywhere we are. So you're getting it real straight at this time. Well, Capricorn Rising, thank you for allowing me to guide you through 2022's general astrology potentials. You are really going through a huge rebirth period in your life, where you are really changing most aspects of your life, moving forward into a more deeper, meaningful way. Your personality is really reshaping, and everything is becoming more deeper and meaningful for you. You are changing goals and having self-made creative breakthroughs this year. And I wish you the best. Remember that there's never just good or just bad. We get a little bit of both always in life. And if you get some of the bad, this too shall pass. And remember that everything is for your soul's growth and your journey going forward. I wish you the best. You can do this. You have the determination to get through anything. You can also check out my general astrology potentials collectively for 2022. I'll put the link below. May God bless you and keep you. May the sun shine bright on you this day and this year going forward. Until next time.